The only way to get out of student debt, go to space and kill some bad guys. This is Spoilers.
Woohoo! Lord Creator.
Pew, 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 pew.
Hello, everybody. This is Stevie, your host for this week. And this week we are spoiling the 1984 quasi-classic, The Last Starfighter. I said quasi. I said quasi. All right?
I think this movie is big with Gen Xers, I'm pretty sure.
The 1984 N64 video game, The Last Starfighter.
I was gonna make that joke too. It was like, this definitely looks like 64 graphics.
It's one of the originals.
With a mix of like Atari too.
But with a layer of Microsoft Paint over the whole thing.
Many hours went into that. But let's go from Weesest to Eastest. And this week's question is, I think we all grew up with arcades before they went out of business.
Oh, yeah.
If you were on the arcade floor and you were going to have a crowd around you, what game would that be? What game were you the best at the arcade, where you would draw a crowd?
Well, this is Korey, recording out of Simi Valley, California, a.k.a. Kylo Ren memes. When I was a teenager, I was very good at Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I fucking whooped some ass on that game. So I'd have to say that one. But arcades were around more when I was on the younger side. They started to like phase out, it seemed like, in the 2000s and later. And now, like, I think there's only like Dave & Buster's and other stuff. There's no arcades around here anyway. When I was younger, I played this game. It's kind of like Donkey Kong, but it was Popeye. It was very similar to Donkey Kong. I think it's like a platformer. You get the spinach instead of the hammer like you do in the old Donkey Kong. But I really liked that game as a small kid.
Nice. Pap?
I don't know if I really have a deep connection to arcade games. I mean, we would play it like Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, but I don't know. I guess the video game I was maybe best at is in college. Jordan and I used to do like beating Super Mario World without dying challenges freshman year, and then by the end you just be so nervous and like, I don't know if you ever held the Super Nintendo controller with sweaty pap hands, but it's like adds 10 degrees of difficulty to whatever you're doing. So that was probably my gaming peak.
The pap grease.
The controller's short-circuiting.
Yeah. It's just slipping up in the air like a bar of soap. You're trying to catch it and hit jump on the way down.
I think I'm actually up next before Mikey. Is that okay?
Go ahead, George.
This is Josh from Goshen. I can't let an arcade segment go by without mentioning Simpsons Arcade.
I was going to say
One
it
time,
too.
Paul drove me. This was when you were like 18. He drove me to the South Bend airport because he found out that they had like one last one left there. And we didn't beat it that time, but he went back alone later and beat it. So he was a legend. My own story, I guess, can this count? I was at Cedar Point one year, and they have like a game where you just like go around and shoot threes, like a 3-point contest.
Yeah.
And the rim is like kind of crooked, but it's not like the really, really bad crooked ones. But like, I was like eyeing that from far away, and then when we got up there, I got really intimidated because everyone in line looked like an athletic, like college basketball player. But the group I was with like urged me to go anyway, and it was like $10, which is expensive for me. But I like ended up draining a bunch, and the crowd was kind of going wild for the skinny, the skinny, pimply white boy draining threes, and I got a LeBron jersey from it. It was pretty great.
Wow. That's awesome. Do you still have the jersey?
I do. 23 Cavs.
Do you still wear it?
If I have too many drinks, sometimes you'll catch me with it on.
I'm Mikey. I'm recording from Elkhart, Indiana. I don't remember going to the arcade too much, but first of all, I wouldn't want any crowd around me while I'm dominating at a video game, because that would be the most embarrassing thing ever. But I've always really wanted to be really good at like a fighting game like Street Fighter or Tekken at the arcade. But I think that would be really cool. But yeah, this is a very video game centric movie that I didn't know anything about, Stevie. So pretty interested to talk about this one.
I picked it for you, Mikey. I know you love video games.
I do.
Pap Quincy Poet on Instagram requested we do another game pod because of Mikey's and Stevie's Last of Us was so good. Does this count as another one? Does this fulfill that?
No.
I don't know. I mean, it's in the same vein as Ready Player One. It's video game adjacent. I don't know if anything will dethrone Mortal Kombat, though, in Stevie's eyes for video games. So
Mortal Kombat.
In terms of quality and special effects. Yep. Literally the same.
I would rather watch this than Ready Player One any day of the week.
Ready Player One's 2.5 hours long. Am I up?
Yeah, Brett.
Just a real quick question. I never read the book. Isn't The Last Starfighter, isn't it kind of a ripoff of Ender's Game? The book, the movie, anybody?
I thought Ender's Game came out later, but I don't know for sure.
I thought Ender's Game was a 90s book.
Possibly. Well, then that ripped off Last Starfighter. Jeez. All right. This is
very influential.
Brett from Fort Wayne. I'm kind of like Korey. It was we were already kind of getting old. We had all the home video games, and Josh and I are in the 36 club. Happy birthday, Josh! Yesterday.
At a point.
I'd probably say I was always pretty good at the Mortal Kombat games, so 1 or 2.
Who's your character, Brett?
Good question.
Well, I always pick the easiest one.
Liu Kang?
Yeah, Liu Kang, or Scorpion was my other guy.
Yeah, same two for me.
Yeah.
The Last Starfighter, 1984. Ender's Game, book, 1985. So it's kind of bang bang.
Wow. Almost like they were competing with each other. Like this and Back to the Future with the DeLorean.
Well, it's you don't know, too, which one started getting written first, really?
I don't think Ender's Game guy probably knew that was going on, but you never know.
Ender's Game is actually a really good book with a lot of nuance, so they're not that similar,
You've
guys.
read it, Josh?
Wait,
Yeah,
the series started with the 1977 novelette Ender's Game, which is later expanded into the 1985 novel of the same title.
Okay, but the real question is, when did Guardians of the Galaxy come out?
Sometime before this, I believe.
Yeah, the comic.
Ugh.
I think it's an 80s comic. I don't know exactly, though.
Guardians first appear in Marvel Heroes number 18, 1969.
The original Guardians is very different than the movies, by the way. Different characters completely.
I'm just saying, if you watch the Guardians now, it's a lot of Starfighter reference in my mind. But this is Stevie recording from Elkhart, Indiana, and video game that I was actually good at, if I ever went to an arcade or actually at home, like Mikey said, I was actually good at Tekken. I loved playing those games all the way through college, actually. But, Mikey, I'll kick this one to you. We start off in what I will call Sunnyvale West, with Joe Rogan's son that he abandoned for his comedy career and podcast career. Alex Rogan, where's he kind of at in life?
I think he's a high school senior. He's either about to graduate or just graduated, and it's the summer, and he's working and living at this trailer park with his mom.
Working on the scholarship.
He's just waiting around all day for this letter for a loan to go to college. He's in that hazy summer, but before you go to college, he's not doing anything but working.
He hated his life pretty much too.
I didn't want to get that deep in it, but yeah, he hates everything about
Except for his girlfriend.
He hates his friends. He hates his family. He hates his room that he shares with his brother.
He just wants to go to the Tashi station and pick up some power converters.
Exactly.
Hey, Alex, how you doing, man?
Big Al.
Come on, Alex.
Let's do it, buddy. Come on.
What are you doing?
Come on.
Come on, Alex. Hurry up.
Alex didn't come yet?
No, I don't think so. What's it this time, Rogan? You joining the Foreign Legion?
Yes, sir, folks. Step right up. Meet boy adventurer Alex Rogan on the last leg of his worldwide tour to nowhere.
Funny, Blake. You guys think I'm gonna hang out here, watch you shine your pickup, go to the drive-in, get drunk and throw up every Saturday night, go to city college like everybody else? Forget it, man. I'm doing something with my life.
Whoa, Mr. Serioso.
He's kind of an asshole to his
Yeah,
friends.
his friends are douchebags, though, too, especially that one guy.
Are they his friends, though?
They kind of seem like rivals, but they never really touched... They never, like, dove into it much.
I thought that one dude wanted to go after his girl.
Yeah, the guy... Well, he got jealous when he drove her home.
Yeah, that's true. Pap, is his girlfriend... I mean, I hate to say this, it sounds so offensive, but... His girlfriend seems a little too pretty just to be living in a trailer park and wanting to live there for the rest of her life.
Whoa, bro. Whoa.
Well, I mean, this is like the most affluent like trailer park I've ever seen in my whole life. There are people. There's like literally like a physician walking around like off his way to work as he like walks out of his trailer. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, but I don't know. I mean, it's like I read a little bit of like facts. Like the writer of this was trying deliberately to not mirror a lot of like Lucas's and Spielberg's work. So like I guess it was supposed to be in the suburbs, and then they just moved it to a trailer park, which makes sense. Like I feel like it's a very middle class suburban story, right? I get the sense he's trying to go to a fancy college.
It seemed kind of fun. Like, it seemed like a kind of a fun area. Now, I didn't grow up there, but like I just thought it was like a nice, quaint little place. Everyone hung out.
It seemed like everybody got along.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows everybody.
No knife fights, nobody busted with meth, just everyone getting along, going about their day.
Well, that's why he's such an asshole and he's like dunking on his friends. He's like, well, you guys are washing your truck or doing whatever. I'll be going off to a real college out of this flea bag. It's like, dude.
Yeah, they're
chill
like, come
out.
on, man. We're just trying
Hey,
to go to
dude,
the
we all
lake.
grew up together in this neighborhood. Why don't you take a chill pill, bro?
Pap, what college is he going to? Or did he want to go to?
See, so is this Nevada?
This is in Nevada, yes.
Is that explicitly stated at any point?
I thought it's Southern California.
I thought it was California, too.
I mean, it could be Arizona. I feel like he wanted to go to a big city, so maybe like a Los Angeles school,
I
or
feel like he's going to Berkeley.
UNLV or something. He doesn't really seem to have any specific academic goals. He's no Loudon Swain. Like, he's not very motivated to like be a doctor and wrestle and do everything. He kind of just wants this loan to come and like save his life.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we don't know what he's using this loan for. We just assume he's using it for college because you would assume if he wants to go to a good school, he has the grades.
Yeah, he like goes and picks up a QP of weed and starts selling it in the park.
He's just flipping bricks in school.
It's just Requiem for a Dream. Like, it's just a guy starting a small business.
What else is he doing? He's a master at this video game. What else is he doing besides dealing drugs? There's nothing he's doing all day. He's not studying.
Just something I want to point out. Loudon Swain would kick Alex Rogan's ass any day of the week.
Who would?
Peak Modine.
Oh, Peak Modine.
Yeah, Alex can't touch Peak Modine. But Alex doesn't get his loan. His mom opens his mail, which is I believe it's a felony.
Unless he's 18, then she might be able to if he's not 18.
That's true. That is true.
I think he must be 18. He's old enough to join the space military.
Yeah.
It's true.
Very
Old
true.
enough to be in the space military, but not old enough to smoke death sticks.
Ridiculous.
What a universe we live in. But he's all bummed out. Alex, I mean, he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. He wants to go find his deadbeat dad who wants to go do stand-up comedy or, just be assholes to people that want to enjoy their lives. Typical Alex things. But he comes across the arcade game Starfighter. Kylo, bring us up to speed on what happens, probably with like the most pumped up part of the whole movie. I love this scene.
Well, it's clear that he plays this Starfighter arcade cabinet very often. It's like the first line of the movie, I think. Where's Alex? Oh, you know where he is, and he's over there playing the game. Later on, we see him playing the game, and he gets, I guess, like the all-time high score. He gets over 900,000. And if I remember correctly, everyone in the trailer park starts like coming out of their trailers to come witness
Everyone.
this huge epic event. Like, it's the greatest thing that's happened in their trailer park, at least for a few years.
Hey, old people, you know that video game you love so much?
Yeah.
Alex is crushing it.
It's pretty good. He gets the big high score. It's his like moment of triumph. I don't know, a cat's pawing at the screen. I don't know what to say.
Oh, a command ship.
They do have like a specific shot of a cat that a dog enjoying the show. It's hilarious.
I thought they were going to ruin it.
Yeah, I was hoping his brother was going to trip over the cord.
My cat, normally not into TV, was very interested in the cat watching Alex play video games. Dr. Wong.
Dr. Wong,
Stevie,
the famous
you
cat.
love this You love this scene, though? You thought is this one of your favorite scenes in the movie?
I love this.
It has a lot of heart, right?
I like
it's
it
got a lot
too.
of community sense, like Brett was talking about. Like I love like the community of the trailer park.
It's just so strange because it's like this easily could have been done with like just him and what's that one dude's name? God.
Otis?
Yeah, it could have just been him and Otis there. Otis
my
enjoying
boy.
his tobacco, Alex enjoying his game, but instead everyone in the trailer park drops what they're doing, and I thought his brother was going to ruin it the entire time. Like, when his brother was, like, pushing people out of the way, I was like, if this kid ruins it, I hope he gets punched right in the jaw. Because he did that earlier.
The enthusiasm of everybody is just so jarring because you have to assume that this is the entire community's only form of entertainment if they're all so pumped about this. Nobody has a VCR, nobody has a TV.
That lady in her stories or soaps or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody takes turns playing the video game. That's the only thing they got going on for miles in this town.
Who in the trailer park used to have the high score? Was it Otis?
I don't... good question. I bet that douchebag...
I assumed it was like a pre-programmed high score, like one that like comes with the machine, right? Because no one had even seen the command ship before. Like no one even knew there was an end to the game.
The high score initials are just ASS.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's Costanza's... What was his game?
Frogger.
Yeah.
I love how there's like a communal like understanding of the game too. People are standing around like, oh, over 900,000 points.
He's going for the power up.
Did anyone else think like the big climax of that scene was like super slow and boring? Like the thing circling around and they're like, concentrate, you can hit him. And like, I'm like, what is he trying to do?
He's in a cutscene.
Yeah. Press X to continue.
Wouldn't it like have made more sense for Alex to like fail at this instead of winning?
If Alex fails at this in front of the whole community, he's on suicide watch after the 24 hours that he has.
He's not
like,
having
this
a good
is
week.
a very different movie if that happens.
He needed this win.
Oh my god, that's so funny, Pat. But yeah, Alex brings down the house. He's a legend of the trailer park. Life is good, but yeah, pretty much his girlfriend still doesn't want to leave. She's under the impression that Alex is going to go on to better things because he got a high score in a video game.
I found that baffling, her reasoning.
Yeah, I mean, there's some serious 80s logic
now that
going
I know
on
that
here.
you invest all that time playing video games, I know that you're going to just become so successful.
You're going to go out there and crush it,
Man,
kid.
I have like a Stevie question, but I think it's maybe inappropriate. It'll make Stevie uncomfortable.
Hit it. I don't care. It's a podcast. We can edit it out.
Love it.
Hit it.
What's the main character's name?
Alex Rogan.
Okay, how far have him and his girlfriend got?
Oh.
That's a good question.
Over the pants stuff, probably. Alex seemed like a pretty square dude.
I mean, I'm saying they're like super into each other, but like they're doing a lot of making out and ear licking apparently. So
Yeah.
it just seemed to like it didn't really mesh. But then again, they're like 18, so they're young. They probably shouldn't be doing that.
Makeout Point was probably like a big deal to them. It's not like they went to like Hump Mountain or anything. Makeout Point was probably as far as they got.
Just mouth stuff.
Yeah, they're not really used to this gland stuff. They say that in the movie, the beta guy.
He's like my favorite character, him and Otis.
Josh, you're a big Star Wars dude, right?
Oh, big Star Wars
Probably
guy.
the biggest on the pod.
Yeah, I think
Most would say.
Kylo hates it.
But Alex, we find out that arcade game is not really just an arcade game. It's more of a simulator and a test. What's our Obi-Wan character like, Centauri?
Just like the simulations. He is the music man, I think. The guy who plays Centauri, Robert Preston. But he is just like classic Hollywood guy.
That is such a good description.
Hollywood.
He's kind of like he's in it for the money, but he also kind of like knows what's going on, and he's street smart to an extent too, I would say.
He's on cocaine, probably.
So much cocaine.
This is his last role, right? Before he died.
Last film role. He was in 2 TV movies.
Oh, that's sad.
Otis didn't make it. Otis didn't make it very long after this either. A couple years.
Oh.
Sorry, I'll stop with the morbid stuff.
What about the dogs?
The dogs are dead, bro. The cat might still be alive.
The cat's alive, but the dogs are
man.
dead.
Jeez, how big is Brett's Google Doc?
Hello? Excuse me, son.
Store's closed, mister.
I'm not here for cigarettes or bubblegum, my boy. Can you tell me the name of the person who broke the record on that game over there? And where I might find him?
Alex Rogan. You're looking at him.
Alex Rogan.
Who are you?
Centauri's the name. I invented Starfighter, which is why I'm here.
It is?
It is. We have to talk about a matter of utmost importance. Step into my office.
Like, I think this movie really wouldn't get made without the help of Star Wars. Brett, what do you make of like the set designs when we get to like home base with all the different alien races, like where Centauri takes them, like compared to Star Wars, like and Star Trek for that matter?
I was actually going to ask you this just to show you how bad I am at this kind of stuff. Besides, like the double budget of, let's say, Return of the Jedi, why does that look so much better? Is it just like the Lucas Industrial Lights and Magic thing, or is it just one movie trying to be cheap and one movie not?
So I think I can answer this.
Okay, go ahead, Korey, and then I'll get into your question, Stevie. Sorry.
Oh, God.
So there is a typical look, I think, for 70s, like, future sci-fi stuff. This movie, even though it's in the 80s, has a lot of that. But I think the unique thing about Star Wars in comparison is, like, a lot of the stuff that you see is, like, dirty and, like, it's, like, old for them. But, you know, it's futuristic for us, but old as fuck for them. You know, aside from, like, the Imperial stuff. But we kind of see that later on in the movie. I actually have a good description for their space station. It looks like the line of Space Mountain at Disneyland.
Yes!
It looks like disaster transport for those Midwest Cedar Point residents.
Regional jokes.
I thought the same thing. It looks like a rides line.
Yeah, the sets in this movie are just... I mean, they're just odd, and like even like the attire as far as like what our hero wears is just bland.
Well, they made him wear a tan spacesuit. Like, what kind of design choice is that? Make him a cool color or something.
Something.
Make him pop a little on screen.
Yellow, blue, green, red.
Color choices matter, and they made him really boring.
Purple.
Not just that, I think like on the interior, like it's just lame to have bald dudes as the main species, right?
Hermans? They look like old men named Herman.
The main villain looked like Jim Carrey as Lemony Snicket.
That's so funny.
Just a massive Cro-Magnon forehead.
Well, it's the Star Trek alien look. That's where like everything is the same as a human except the forehead.
Why is that?
Mm-hmm.
Because, well, the Roddenberry effect is like they want the aliens to have a visible mouth and visible eyes so that you can still get their expressions and relate to their humanity or whatever. But that's not true for all the aliens. Like, he gets like a sidekick alien pretty soon, and that guy's like full cosmetic. I mean, he looks like a walking turd or something.
Yeah.
What's that little iguana's name?
Grig?
Grig? That dude cracked me up this entire movie. I mean, Pat, did you love when he was screaming, shoot?
Yeah, I thought he was great, and I've never heard of the Roddenberry effect. That's really cool. I thought that like this character probably like really exemplifies that. Like his eyes always had this funny look. Like he has a laugh, Stevie, that you do sometimes. And I'm 99% sure you got it from this movie, which is pretty funny. You've done it for like our whole friendship going back to 6th grade, and now I know the source.
Probably. I mean, I watched this movie from like when I was like 4 to 10 years old a lot. So you're right. Greg probably had a profound influence on my life, which is my laugh.
Does he look like one of the characters on Mandalorian too?
Which character?
Like when they're in that breakout and they have like that big beefy guy with them. He's when he's with Redbeard. It's in those episodes.
You mean the devil guy?
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
They're called like Devanorians or something.
yeah. That reminds me a lot of Greg. I don't know why. Something about just the practicalness of the mask, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I thought like the Greg mask or makeup, whatever it was super cool.
And his totally human eyes. Just not altered at all. Just straight up white guy eyes.
Just straight up white guy eyes. That's all they need.
His wife was a babe, though.
Greg's or Dan O'Harley's?
Greg's.
Oh, okay. Wasn't it just Greg?
Yeah, it's pretty. And that's just
in a white dress.
Greg, yeah, pretty much. Definitely just joking.
Yeah, that species
Got
like
a lot of kids though.
That species, they're like pugs. You can't tell which is a boy and which is a girl. They're just the same. But this movie to me is kind of a simple story, which is actually I don't even know if it's simple or not. 'Cause there's so many different names.
It's like a hero's journey with a Excalibur twist, right? Like it's like the conceit of it is really good with the video game, right? Like I think that's pretty brilliant, even though it's like it's taking a bunch of like ancient story tropes and like remixing them.
That and Centauri had one of the funniest lines of the whole movie, which was, "Do you know how hard this was to get this out before Christmas?" That to me,
get it in the store for Christmas. Pat, you said something in your Letterboxd review that I didn't even think about until you said it. It's like 80% of it is him like fighting against wanting to go. It's like I've never seen a higher percentage in a movie of, it's usually like the first act. He's like, I don't want to do it. And then he, second act, he's preparing. Third act, he finishes it. But this is like, he finally agrees to do it with 30 minutes left, and then they go right into the battle.
Well, compare it to Star Wars, like it's a classic part of the hero's journey, like the refusal of the call or whatever. I'm sure I'm not calling that the right thing.
No, that's right.
The Star Wars analogy, like Luke doesn't want to go with Obi-Wan, and like when does like his family die, like Uncle Ben or whatever? That's like probably
immediately,
like 10 minutes into the movie at most. Like it's such a different jumping off point. It's like this movie belabors the point of him not wanting to save the fucking universe. Like this is like his passion. This is the only thing he has in his life. How can we spend half of the movie trying to convince him to be the good guy? He has no reason not to. He has nothing back home.
Yeah, it's weird.
Does it make the movie worse though, Pap, in your eyes?
No, but it's weird, is it not?
It's weird, but there's a movie that did it 99.9% of the movie, which is a movie called Man of Steel, where Superman literally does nothing for 2.5 hours.
That's a good pull and a good point. And also, fuck that movie.
Yeah.
I like Man of Steel.
I've never heard anyone say release the Snyder cut of Last Starfighter. So
good point. Good point.
Yeah, believe me, if you watch Man of Steel, he literally is an impassive hero for 99.9% of the movie, or just a passive hero.
But I like Henry Cavill.
Me too.
I don't like Alex Rogan.
I love Henry Cavill. Why do you like Alex Rogan, Mikey?
He's whiny. And he also has a doppelganger that's even whinier than him.
Explain Beta to us then, Mikey, if you hate him so much.
I love Beta.
I love Beta.
Well, I guess they wanted to keep this girl involved in the movie, so they left a clone of Alex.
She's a babe.
She is a babe.
Oh, yeah.
I like her a lot. I think she's a good actress, but we want to keep her in the movie, so we need an Alex on Earth to just keep her occupied and very almost have sex with her without Alex's knowledge. But yeah, he's just a pawn really to distract any like would-be assassins that are after him. And if he gets killed or anything, or if they find out that, well, I'm kind of talking way farther into the movie, but like,
go ahead. This is a really streamlined movie.
I don't really know the reasoning. It's just like, oh, then they know that he's not dead. He didn't die with all of the other starfighters or something. They know that he's still on Earth or out in space,
which is
trying to stop.
Confusing to me. Can you guys like answer me something? Like, were all the starfighters that amazing, or was like a prophecy about Alex, like about being the last starfighter that I didn't know about?
they made it seem like he was better than them, but I mean, they were all, I think, good. But
I don't understand why the one Starfighter was to be so feared.
Because he got over 900,000. Everyone else only got 800,000.
No one else finished the game. They just got close.
They could have used that kid from The Wizard. Remember that movie, Brett?
California. Yeah, I do.
They could have got that kid. He
Oh,
would
he
have
was
been a
too
good
good.
Starfighter.
Well,
Too
Pappy
good.
mentioned Excalibur earlier, and it's actually mentioned by name in this movie, but
Yeah.
for some reason the Starfighters are like basically the knights of the Round Table or something in this
Ren?
movie, and
The Knights of Ren.
they're so powerful. Like that starship that he's in is so much more powerful than like everything else combined. It's just like a matter of if he can like navigate through it or something. They said at one point he could take like multiple direct hits, and I don't even know if he ever did end up taking a direct hit.
Oh, he was getting blasted at the end.
Was he?
I was like, oh, why isn't he dying? And then I remembered that his friend was like, yeah, this baby can take a whole crap ton of hits.
There's a lot of plot armor on this bad boy.
Slaps roof of spaceship.
I have a question for Korey, real quick.
Yeah.
Who's a better shot? These Armada planes or Stormtroopers?
Oof. Stormtroopers, maybe?
They're all really bad. Like, they missed so many times.
There's a moment in the caves where the Armada plane was literally 30 feet from Alex, who was just like, I don't know what to do. And he missed like 10 times in a row.
His friend was screaming at him.
Only a Stormtrooper could shoot with that kind of precision.
I love how Greg just like trolls him afterwards too. Like, maybe you just don't have it in you. Like,
it would have been a good plan.
Just gaslighting him.
You almost got me killed!
My deepest apologies, Alex. I had hoped that by putting you in the thick of battle, a great starfighter would emerge. But alas, perhaps there was never one within you to begin with.
The digital effects in that cave are amongst the shittiest in a movie full of really, really shitty digital
this is
effects.
one of the first ones ever. Actually, this is the first one to have 3D CGI.
Oh, you can tell.
I read that particular scene in the cave rendered incorrectly, and they ran out of time and money, so they left the incorrectly rendered version in the film.
It looks like we're flying through a gray colon. It's so bad.
That's how Ant-Man defeated Thanos.
They were so preoccupied if they should, they didn't, or if they could, they didn't think if they should. I mean, they should not have used them. Like you said, it's one of the first, but they should just have not done it. Like I don't see how, budgetarily speaking, it's cheaper necessarily, you know?
I think it'd be awesome if it was Ant-Man flying into Thanos' butthole and they used those graphics. Then it would be awesome.
Stevie, do you think it would have looked better with miniatures? Or I know you have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. Do you like the digital effects?
I'll say this. As a wee child with no concept of film whatsoever watching this movie, I thought it was incredible. As an almost 30-year-old man watching this, I thought, what the hell were they thinking? It's kind of like the whole Fellowship of the Ring like animated movie, where it's like, why would you do both? They could have easily, I mean, I wouldn't say easily, but I felt like miniatures and spending more time in like the cockpit would have been a much better idea than going for it.
Well, what were they trying to do with this movie? Were they like getting a new PC or something and like, hey, let's test this bad boy out, let's see what kind of visual effects we can do or something? Or
no, I think they were just riding the wave of sci-fi in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, you have to remember, Star Wars was the biggest thing in the world at this point.
I haven't seen Tron. Does Tron look bad?
Tron looks terrible.
Tron's 2D CGI and, well,
is it? Okay.
Some 3D, I guess, but it's not in a realistic plane. But yeah, the grid.
Don't say CGI. We'll get yelled at.
It's what they call it, CGI. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Tron looks every bit of bad as like the grid looks as bad as you'd think it would.
I actually know what you mean by the grid, but that's because of South Park.
Yeah, it just looks that terrible.
Speaking of South Park, this is also an episode of South Park, like this whole movie.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Wait,
they
which
like
one?
tributed it or whatever. I think
Which
it's
episode?
Butters. Like he gets like a mobile game or something. And he's like,
Oh, that's Kenny was really good at the one in heaven where they're fighting hell.
yeah, it's Kenny. That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
he
never
keeps-
actually
and-
connected the two.
That's a 2-part thing because he's in a coma and Eric keeps bringing it back to life. And then, yeah, we need the chosen one. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
That's like when like the PSP came out, I think, and Kenny was good at the PSP.
Yep.
Huh. I never connected those two. But yeah, this movie is a whole lot of being passive and an ending that has two parts that I think are insanely hilarious. Josh, can you kind of break down what Grig did to the ship with those buttons at the end to destroy all the ships?
So
It cracks me up every time.
Are you talking about when they finally unleash the death?
The breakdance fighter ship, yeah.
Death Blossom?
The Death
DB.
Awesome Blossom
Extra awesome.
from Outback Steakhouse.
God mode?
I think what I really remember in here is that they have to use this Death Blossom, and it sends like all these cluster bombs that are just like heat circles or heat-seeking missiles out. In Contra, there's like a certain like ammo type that does the same thing, but all of them shoot out. All these like little ships are destroyed, and then like the main tanker ship, using this Death Blossom, uses up all the power. So like Grig does this really cool move where he like siphons power off the life support system, which is a really risky move. Grig doesn't really seem to care if he lives or dies.
Grig
he has
does
like
not
6,000
give a
kids.
He also doesn't care if Alex lives or dies. He didn't give him any choice. And then he gaslights him to stay out there.
Yeah, I just love when the ship starts breakdancing, and the CGI just looks so horrible. Like it almost makes the movie for me. But the part that really makes the movie, Pap, do you know what I'm talking about with the two guys at the end?
No. Josh does, though.
Josh, go ahead and rattle this off. It's my absolute favorite part of the entire movie.
Yeah, so this big tanker comes, and since they're out of power, it's just going to ram into them and like destroy them. But they get the power back on because Grig, sets up the life support system. They get out of the way, they juke out of there. And they can't stop themselves, I guess. They get stuck in the moon's gravity.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy kind of
What do
goes
we
out
do,
like
Captain?
a boss. Do it, Mikey.
What do we do, Captain? We die. And then they just go
I
head first.
love it.
They're like classic Star Trek Klingons in a way, because like they look kind of scary and ugly, so like they're the villains. But they also like they're like willing to die. And there's also other Star Trek like little references here and there. I don't know if they're references so much or just things that are borrowed. Like the universal translator he gets earlier. That's a Star Trek thing. There's even an actor that was in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. We talked about like those bounty hunters that are like trying to kill Beta. One of them is like human for a minute or two. And that's Gul Dukat right there.
I think the word you're looking for, Korey, is knockoff. Or rip-off.
Tribute,
plagiarism,
homage.
Yeah, blatant homage with a dash of plagiarism in there.
Stevie, what's the league of like good guy planets called?
The Rylands?
But they have like an alliance of like peaceful planets.
There's so many different names in this, I can't keep up. It's like they were trying to build a giant world that never took off.
Well, it was like the exact same thing from Fifth Element, where they had these like buoys floating in space, essentially like building a wall around it. And like I don't know, like after like Game of Thrones, like I'm pretty sure they're the bad guys, right? Like the people who build the wall trying to keep everybody else out aren't usually the good guys.
Typically not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wall was called the Frontier, I think. But there's a lot of like space names getting thrown around.
So many names.
Rylos, the Kodan, the Zerg.
Gonna build the wall and the Kodans are gonna pay for it.
The Ryland Star League.
The Ryland Star League.
Against the Kodan Empire.
Kodan Empire. I mean, there's Zur,
Led by
obviously,
Zur.
who's a traitor.
Lord Krill.
I feel like the bad guys were like some of the most undeveloped bad guys ever.
I love a good 80s bad guy. And
I didn't say I didn't like him. That guy had cracked me up.
Zur nailed every checkbox there is to nail in every 80s bad guy lore. Also, I mean, who are the actual bad guys called? The guys who are like Klingons?
I don't know what they're actually called.
The Kodan Emperor?
Was it Kodan? Kodan?
Yeah, they're the Kodans.
The Kodans?
Kodans.
Yeah, I actually kind of like those characters a lot. I kind of wish they were in the movie more. Like the main two we have that wanted to kill Zur the entire time.
I love Zur's power move of just popping in with his giant head to leave a very ominous message. It's a real bad guy move.
Are we going to talk about the head melting scene, or did you guys already talk about that?
I was just about to bring that up, Brett. Go ahead.
That was a little, in a pretty light movie, that was pretty intense.
I thought it was funny.
No, it is funny, but like when Snickets pops in to talk to his dad, Mr. Snicks, Mr. Snicks thinks that he's got this like perfect plan and his master spy, but Lemony definitely caught him, and you get to see his brain, his face melt while he screams like a little pig. I mean, it's pretty funny.
It's very like ISIS murdering someone on camera-ish.
There's a good bit of like quasi body horror with the beta cuck robot guy when he's like when he's transforming into the actual like Alex human form. You see him like his like skin like growing and like pulsating when he's in bed. You guys
covered
know
in
the part?
Elmer's glue.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Part's pretty freaky looking.
Wait, what's your explanation for that? Why was he covered in Elmer's glue? I had no idea what was going on.
Because he found all the Playboys.
Oh, poor Lewis.
Holy shit, Kyla.
Poor Lewis. But I kind of like that brain melting scene just because, I mean, I hate to use the word subverting expectations if like Josh will jump through my computer and punch me. But there's a couple scenes where they do it where like the inside trader plants what you think is like a bomb in the in base, but really it's just like knock out the guns for them to die. Also, I think it was Centauri who was pretty much telling Alex, like, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to worry about, there's nothing to worry about. And literally 5 seconds later, a guy's brain is melting in front of him. I thought that was hysterical. But nothing as funny as when Alex Rogan is trying to act sad when Centauri dies. And I feel like this was maybe 4 hours on set of trying to get this guy to cry. And they're just pleading with him. They're putting teardrops in there. It doesn't look real enough. Can you actually cry? And he couldn't do it.
That's like me. That's why I'm glad I'm not an actor. I would never be able to cry.
Jeez, tough guy.
It was like he didn't understand that he was dead.
That was the best.
In the
That was
movie.
the absolute best.
Like,
Centauri?
Dude, do you get the context here that he's not alive anymore?
Yeah,
or?
they had the whole thing where they're like, "Oh, rest easy, man," and then like when he dies, he's like, "Centauri." It's like, you just saw him die.
My wife was like, Centauri's been dead for like 5 minutes. What is he not grasping?
But guys, he wasn't dead,
we'll
though.
What do you guys? He's not dead.
Not dead yet, Pap.
Well, he didn't know that at
We
the
didn't
time.
know it. We just thought he didn't know Obi-Wan and vanished.
And Pap, like, they didn't just bring back Centauri because this guy was still hanging around on set. They wrote him off the movie, and he was still hanging around. Like,
He just didn't want to leave.
He wanted to be in the sequel.
Well, Josh, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I was just vehemently agreeing. It's like, he's clearly not dead. He's like breathing and moving. Like the actor who's playing him is breathing and moving. Like,
because he's a bad actor.
You didn't think that was just bad
he's not a
filmmaking?
bad actor. He's the only good actor in this movie. He's the only real actor.
Maggie is a treasure. It's a damn shame that she was never in anything else afterwards.
Was she not?
Oh, she had a pretty decent career.
Yeah, she did.
What's the biggest role besides Babe in Trailer Park and Last Starfighter?
I think she's still in
Weekend
stuff.
at Bernie's.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh yeah, her career just really skyrocketed.
She's been in stuff like this year though.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Holy shit, she's awesome.
She's
Myra.
Okay, I take that back. But is Lance Guest that bad, Stevie? I liked him. I got some Bruce Campbell vibes.
Ooh, that's not good.
I got more of Diet Judge Reinhold, if you know who that is.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Diet Judge Reinhold, if I
Everyone
ever saw
in the 80s knew Judge Reinhold. He was, like, pretty big in the 80s, and then, yeah, it didn't really work out for him somehow.
My name is Judge.
From Fast Times, right?
Fast Times and Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, Fast Times.
There it is.
But, yeah, I mean, I didn't mind Alex. It's just Alex Rogan, Lance Guest. It's just, it was really weird how oddly that was edited when he was, like, being sad over Centauri dying, but it was, like, 2 minutes afterwards. It was very strange. I don't know, that's all I'm not saying he's a horrible actor, Pap. That's all I was getting at.
I just don't know if this movie's any better for a big dramatic death scene where he's like having an actual passionate cry. Like, we would have killed this movie if it did that. It's way better staying in the lighthearted, fast-paced lane.
That's true, but we do get Centauri back. He pulls a Houdini. He just had to go into a coma for his body to repair, I guess. And at the end of the movie, we get the ultimate question. Is Maggie gonna leave her grandma forever to die in a trailer park to go off to space or not?
I'm sure they
Brett,
could visit.
what happens?
Okay, so he comes down, and it's like the slowest reveal ever. We all know who it is, so... like, he finally comes down, and... Of course, you know, the neighborhood all comes out. They're all pumped and everything like that. And Greg comes out and explains how he's a hero and the slow introduction scene with all of his friends. And then he's like, well, I got to go. But there's only room on the place for 3, me, Greg, and you. And she's all like, oh, but what about Granny? And it's kind of a callback to earlier in the movie where she's like, I can't leave Granny. So he just gets devastated. Like, he puts himself out there and she's like, yeah, I'm not going with you. So he goes back on the plane and then, I don't know.
He says no to the engagement on the Jumbotron, basically, is what she does.
Yeah, for sure. Like, she's okay with the kiss cam. You know, they can make out in front of everyone, but yeah, she definitely said no on live TV. And he's pretty devastated. But,
go ahead.
I
was going to say, the one thing I took away from this movie was how inviting and welcoming these people at the trailer park really were. If you drop Greg in Florida to any trailer park,
he'd be beaten to death.
He'd be beaten to death and shot on sight. There would be no like, hey, I'm chilling. It would just be Florida man kills alien. Headline.
No, it'd be worse. It'd be like some Pulp Fiction shit. Like
Pulp Fiction
Florida
shit.
man eats alien alive.
But yeah, Maggie says, deuces, Grandma, I'm not coming back for the funeral. And she goes off to never be in a sequel. Real bummer. But that was The Last Starfighter. Do you guys have anything else to add?
Well, it's not like Alex didn't give up his family, too.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel bummed for Lewis.
Hey, Lewis came out on top with all that porno. He's got the video game console to himself now and all that porno. And the room.
Where did Lewis get all those Playboys?
They
were his brothers.
Yeah, his brothers.
I guess. That's all Alex had time for. Being an asshole, jacking off to Playboy, and playing video games.
Listen, he was fixing people's soaps, man.
Not his fault his dad ran off to do a podcast.
I do have something to say. So at the end, when Alex lands in the spaceship at the trailer park and all the residents see it and they're like, oh my god, a spaceship, what the fuck? And then he slowly gets out, like Brett said. They're like, Alex, what? You've been here the whole time, I thought. And he's like, no, that's Beta. And they're like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, it's a robot. But they're like, a robot? What? Get out of here. Like, he just fucking landed in a spaceship. I mean, is it not possible there's also robots now? Like,
yeah, there's an alien right next to him.
Yeah. They immediately pull a gun on the alien, by the way. Freeze. A new kind of person of color.
I had a really memorable part when Beta gets shot in the stomach and they're chasing down the guy so that he can't tell like the evil people that there's a fake Beta and that there's one Starfighter left. And Beta just like kicks her out of the car and heroes into it and all explodes. And then she just like turns around and screams into space, I love you, Alex Rogan.
That was so weird. Why did she say that?
She should have said, I love you, Mikey Toller.
It was kind of a strange thing to do, but also...
Yeah, she like looks right at the camera.
I typically don't love it when movies announce their movie titles in the movie. But this one gets a pass because they said it 6 times in a row. And I loved it every time. Hit just right for me. But, you guys ready for some yes or no's?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go from Esis to Weesis this time. Yes or no's? Take it away, Brett.
Okay. Yeah, this is a yes. I had fun watching this. Yeah, I mean, it looked terrible, but I had fun. I actually really liked the trailer park scenes. I thought Beta was funny. Maggie was a babe. I thought the main guy was good. I liked Otis. I just, a lot of characters I liked. The villains were a little underdeveloped, but they were funny. So, yeah, it's definitely definite yes. I'd recommend this to someone who likes 80s nostalgia, space stuff with weird computer graphics.
Can I do Jordan's next?
Ooh.
Yep, go ahead. Have at it. Sorry.
So this is from Jordan. It's the return of the ride-in. Jordan's review. This movie fails because it doesn't lead into actually interesting storylines like Beta, Alex, or Alex being cucked by Jack, or Otis's diner, or how the Star League settled as that for their universal hairstyle. Also, it's hard to believe this was made after all 3 Star Wars movies, and it makes me wonder if this is what Star Wars would have been without Harrison Ford. If this movie if this movie was supposed to be 108 minutes ad for Galaga, it's a hell yes dog. But as a self-contained film, it's a no dog. And I hope you guys talked about how Maggie looks just like Alex's mom. That's another no dog from Jordan from afar.
All right, that was a little heavy.
Does Maggie look like Alex's mom? And what does that mean with Alex?
Yeah, we definitely didn't talk about that. I don't know what he means.
I'm gonna check.
Is he saying that he wants to bang his mom?
I'm gonna check this out.
Very Freudian.
Freudian. Well, Jordan is a licensed psychology major. He's always looking at that angle.
He's a doctor.
Am I next?
Yeah, Mikey.
Or Josh?
Take it away, Mikey.
I think Jordan brought up an interesting point. Like, why wasn't this just associated with a real video game? That I thought that would have been much more interesting. And
They tried.
oh, really? With what?
Well, they tried to make a Last Starfighter video game to go out with the release, but the graphics that were in the movie didn't exist within video games.
They barely existed within movies, as we can see. But I'll have to give this a hard no. It was really bad, Stevie. I'm sorry if you liked this movie as a kid, but it was just... maybe watch it to goof on the CGI, because it's really, really bad. But I thought the story was boring too. So, and I didn't like Centauri. Centauri was a loser. Didn't like his attitude.
He's a loser. He's a loser. Is Obi-Wan a beggar?
Hard no for me.
Pretty much.
All right, go ahead, Josh.
Not a Star Wars guy.
Yeah. I think finding out, kind of even since this pod started recording tonight, that this movie predates Ender's Game book, predates The Wizard by like 5 years,
Predates Back to the Future.
And Back to the Future by a year. I definitely see some Marty McFly in the main character in this, and I think they kind of played off that a little bit. This is like almost like Ice Pirates. It has some sneaky, like zeitgeisty things that either flowed through it or stemmed from it. So I think it's interesting, and like a movie that came out in the year I was born about video games. There's a lot of schluck, but I'm going to give this one a yes, even though it's just barely holding itself together. There's actually a couple times they return to the shot of the trailer park, and it's got this really cool neon aesthetic, and I think that's pretty influential stuff. Yes.
Pappy.
Truth is one. The sages speak of it by many names. Hard yes.
What?
Is that
your
it?
Your yes or no?
I'm done.
Loved it.
Okay.
Loved it.
Dropping the mic.
All right.
He's making me feel very uncomfortable.
Okay. All right. God.
I have no idea what's going on. All
Neither
right.
do I. Go ahead.
This is Korey, Kylo. I'm going to give it a yes. This was the first time I'd ever seen this movie. I'd heard about this movie a lot. It's kind of a well-beloved, stupid 80s movie that a lot of people like. I think it fits really well in that category for what it is, and that's why I'm giving it a yes. Obviously, if the movie came out today, it would be a no because it would be weird and very 80s and it wouldn't make any sense and it would look bad. But for what it is, it's pretty cool. Like it's just one of those dumb kids 80s movies that, I don't know, you got your stupid little like kind of whiny hero and he has this dumb quest that like you guys said, the whole quest is like back and forth until pretty much the very end, but there's something kind of compelling about it in its cheesiness. And maybe it's because, I don't know, I'm a child of the 80s technically, but I give it a yes. Not the hardest of yeses, but still a yes.
Alrighty. Kind of bums me out that Jode and Mikey hated it so much. This is a fun 80s movie. But yeah, I'll give this a solid yes. I enjoyed this a bunch as a kid, so I probably have a bunch of nostalgia for it. But that arcade scene with the trailer park still holds up. That still, I think, is just an awesome scene and probably the best part of the whole movie. So I will give this a solid yes. And it's just a fun 80s movie. Something to turn your brain off to. But y'all ready for some trivia?
Yeah.
What's the order?
Yeah, let me interject something real quick just before I forget. Korey, that South Park was called Best Friends Forever, Season 9, and it, according to the commentary, it is partially based on The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
And it won an Emmy.
Nice. Is it better than The Last Starfighter, though? That two-parter?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Pap, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this every time. Do you know what the order is?
Stop me when I've said everybody's name. Ace Ventura. Who did that?
Josh.
Rock.
Me.
So many repeats. It's Pat.
Me. Korey.
Neverending Story.
Skip Neverending Story. Let me check.
Me.
All right. Ace Ventura. Rock.
Josh. Mikey.
Neverending Story.
Brett.
Me. Korey
Pap. Got your spoiler for you. Got your trivia orders for you.
Thank you. You helped me out a ton. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Okay. The same week that this movie was released in theaters, When Doves Cry by Prince hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. How many days was When Doves Cry on the Billboard charts? Not just at number 1, but just on the chart itself.
Consecutively or like... I don't know, I guess...
Yeah, consecutively on its initial run. How many days?
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh is first.
Can I just say, this is kind of ironic because in the same year, Eric Clapton was recording Behind the Sun when he split with Patty Boyd the first time. She eventually divorced him for infidelity, but
That is pretty ironic. That is the definition of irony.
I'm going to say
I was waiting for that.
that's just so ironic, but I'm going to say 364 days.
364 for Chorsh. Money, Mike.
500 days of Prince.
Oh, man.
500 days.
I love it.
Rat.
What'd you say, Josh?
364.
363.
What was
Brett with 363.
what was yours, Mikey?
500.
Days of Prince.
100.
100 for Kylo.
It's a low ball.
Oh, Bubba!
Man. Sorry I'm so bitter about the trivia order. This has sneakily become my longest schneid in the history of this podcast. Fuck. I really don't. I feel like, fuck, a year is a long time. Especially in the 80s.
Too long.
What are 101 days?
101 days. Let me do some math here. Retail price of days of When Doves Cry on the Billboard 100 consecutive run was 161
Oh my god.
days.
Why did you have to do math?
It's just for dramatic effect.
Thank you, Russia.
To say, you had me thinking that it was in between me and Pappy. It was going to be close. It wasn't
No,
close.
it's just for dramatic effect. 161 days for the Pap. Pap, I'm going to let you sit on this. Can I kick it over to Spoilers Man?
Yeah, give me a second, please.
Take it away, Spoilers Man.
Spoiler Man here. Our email is podcastspoilers@gmail.com. Twitter is @spoilers_pod. Our Instagram is podcast spoilers. It's lit. Josh Hensley from the Rutabaga wrote our theme song. Please support this podcast by leaving us an iTunes review. To do this, 1. Search for movie spoilers. 2. Click on our orange Spoilers Bowl logo and scroll all the way to the bottom. 3. Leave us some stars and some words. Now you can check us out on Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts.
And we are back. Pappy guessed right, but Pappy also lived in Minnesota for how many years?
2 years. 1 year in St. Paul, 1 year in Minneapolis.
He knows so much about Prince now. It's obvious he was going to win.
He's friends with him.
Yeah, Pap knew Prince. So, Pap, what are we going to be spoiling next time out?
You know, it's been a long time that this movie's been at the top of my list. Or not at the top of my list, but just in my list. It's like been at the top, worked its way down. It's really weird that you had that trivia because it's going to dovetail really well into what I'm picking. We're doing Purple Rain, boys.
Let's go.
That was actually on my list, so I've actually never seen it, just parts of it.
I didn't mean to cause you any trouble. I didn't mean to cause you any pain by picking your pick, but Purple Rain. 1984.
Same year.
This will be up for 5 minutes on YouTube before we get copyright claims from every person in his estate. So listen while you can.
Oh, that
He
is
goes to Prince will sue us.
that is so exciting.
That means you too.
That means you too.
Oh, well, thank you for listening to us, whether it was listening from home because we're in the middle of a pandemic or driving to work because you're essential, or just listening to us because you're bored. I want to say thank you, and please give us suggestions on movies, random movies you just want us to spoil. We are going to start doing that more often. Hit us up in DMs and Instagram or Twitter. Mikey and I are probably going to try and spoil at least one more video game before the end of the year. Mikey, do you have any ideas?
Yeah.
I mean, I have all the time in the world, Stevie. You do not have.
I have until October 17th, my friend. I have until October 17th.
Yeah, so
Fall Guys, the podcast.
If you want to do Fall Guys, the podcast, I'm down.
That'd be fun.
That would be kind of fun to talk about Fall Guys. But Yeah, thanks for listening, and that was Spoilers.
Mike, I didn't mean to drop your last name. You might want to edit that out.
Do you guys hear it right now?
No.
What? I have no fucking idea what it could possibly be.
Was something touching your mic?
I literally wasn't moving. Like I thought maybe it was like the Skype mic was going through my headphone mic and maybe I was bumping it or something. I'm trying to like recreate.
Oh, the scratching noise? That was you?
I didn't hear it, so I assumed it was me, but I mean that's probably what that means.
That was weird that nobody knew who it belonged to.
It was so loud.
Because it sounded like someone like scratching on jeans or something.
Somebody sanding a table for an art project.
It sounded like sandpaper.
I took half my headphones out to see if I could like hear anything in the room. But I don't know if it was like Skype or the computer or my bad. I thought it was me. I should have just muted, probably.
It's okay, Pappy. They're funny bits when something weird noise happens. It's always memorable.
So sneaky.
Pat, I think you just got ghosts.
Ghosts?
Ghosts.
Oh,
it sounded like a human.
I don't think this place was haunted. My last place was definitely
We
haunted.
still talk about Brittany making popcorn to this day.
That was some loud popcorn.
Can I not do some woodworking while we podcast?
She wasn't making popcorn. She was making cookies. And then the grandfather clock was pretty loud. That was a classic.
Was that the same episode?
Yeah, Road to Perdition.
That was awesome.
The grandfather clock fits with that movie, though. The bell tolls.
The bell tolls.
Have a good night, y'all. Later.
Josh,
See you, Josh.
That was Spoilers.